Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all join us for the Asia's largest LGBTQ plus conference, RISE 2021. My name is Moneesha, and I am a senior program manager at Pride Circle Foundation. I'm delighted to have two eminent change makers with me today, Mr. Sashidhar Vempala, Head of CSR Sustainability and Communication from Pernod, and Mr. Amit Tuteja, founder of Connecting Dream Foundation. So, Sashidhar, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Moneesha. It's indeed an honor to be a part of such a big forum, a forum which needs a whole lot of awareness creation, and playing the small role in trying to be a part and understand this further is indeed an honor. Communication, sustainability, and CSR is what I look after at Pernod India. And with sustainability, we're looking at making products of value, creating a very shared enterprise, shared value creation enterprise. And with the profits we make from these sustainable products, we intend to create ecosystem value with communities. And of course, it is important for us to build the reputation at the back of this work. And that's exactly what I do. And my passion remains with it. And if not working with Pernod in the evenings or the weekends, you'll find me in the forests, working towards water conservation, mitigating human-animal conflict, and also working very closely trying to support infrastructural needs of forest guards. So that's what I do mostly.
Wow, that's lovely. Like, you are very well connected with the nature, Sashidhar, I would say that. So I've seen a couple of pictures of Sashidhar, with the forest guards and a lot of activities doing in the forest. So thank you so much, Sashidhar. Amit, may I request you to please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Moneesha, and I would like to thank Pride Circle for inviting me for such an important event that you've been doing for LGBT inclusion. So, as you said, that I'm part of Connecting Dream Foundation, and we started this in 2012. And the idea was to create a youth change maker network, or to train youth to become change makers, so that they work together to achieve this dream of sustainability or accomplish SDGs by 2030. That's what we would like to work towards. And so far, we were able to create more than 12,000 change makers so far from different institutions across India. And we have been working with very different kind of communities, and like LGBT, transgenders are one of them, which we'll be discussing about in today's session. And so far, they have been able to impact more than 5 lakh people across 7 states of India, be it rural or urban. My personal journey is also been very different. I've started my career as a research scientist in biotechnology, virology, and personalized medicine was my core expertise area. And over a period of time, I developed interest in social entrepreneurship, and that's where we started Connecting Foundation. And this is what we are doing right now, and we are moving towards achieving this dream, and that's where the Connecting Dream Foundation plays its role. Thank you very much.
That's lovely, Amit. Thank you so much. We welcome you once again, Sashidhar and Amit, and thank you so much for joining us. Before we begin, I would like to give a brief introduction, or a quick introduction of Pride Circle Foundation. So Pride Circle Foundation, we believe in fair and equal society where everyone can achieve their full potential. We aim to achieve this through partnership with companies, NGOs, parent collectives, educational institutions, and government organizations. There are 6 major sectors where we are focusing right now. That is the employability and skill development, organizational inclusion, educational institution and families, entrepreneurship, research and publication, and mental health. So we have a campus partner program for the LGBT plus and ally college student. In March 2021, we have released a report on LGBT plus inclusion in higher education, which is in association with the Boston Consulting Group and IIM Ahmedabad. You will get a sneak into the report tomorrow morning, session 2. We also put together a guide on the mental well-being in association with out and equal and interweave. More details will be shared today later in the session 2. So today's conversation is all about leveraging CSR, the corporate social responsibility, to foster the LGBTQ inclusion. So let's begin. So I need to understand, it's like, what is CSR and how we can use this to foster in the inclusion part. So Sashidhar, can you just throw us some light on this?
Surely, Moneesha. With the Corporate Social Responsibility Act coming in 2014, it has been evolving as there were companies which, did not know what to do first. And then when they started going in, there was always a maturity index or a level which most of the companies needed to cross. Right? The first objectives were, beyond compliance. I mean, how do you start creating impact beyond compliance? And that is where working with a whole lot of cohorts started making sense. And when I say cohorts, it's all the communities which are either deprived in one form or the other. And the LGBTQI community is a cohort which has been ignored for various reasons. And most of us know very little about anyone in this cohort. What CSR can do is that, the entire leverage which CSR can create in terms of creating an opportunity for inclusion is the most important thing which is needed in today's times. When I say opportunity for inclusion, it is about the opportunity for creating awareness and an understanding. Because when the opportunity is about, making two different cohorts, the one which does not know about LGBTQI and the one which has been facing a whole lot of challenges in their lives. When these two come together is the entire opportunity for growth, awareness, everything starts. As we say that you can dispel ignorance with information and awareness. And that is where we are saying that as you create an opportunity for inclusion, it will also create opportunity for equal employment, which comes later because you invest behind understanding them, training them, making sure that there are equal employment opportunities for this cohort. And that's exactly where more and more people, companies start including this in their CSR purpose, vision, and an organizational journey which starts at this standpoint. So the role which CSR will play is to create a complete opportunity for inclusion, and that opportunity stems from the action. Even awareness creation is an action. So this is the most fundamental thing which CSR needs to do at the base level.
Oh, so Amit, do you have any points to add to this?
So I totally agree with Sashidhar. I think CSR plays a couple of roles here, and I think those are most important ones. Through CSR, I think it's not only that the community is getting certain funds to run some programs for skill building or training, but it is also a point of connect. It's a point of connect where corporates like PRI and other can actually know the challenge, empathize with the community, and can create opportunities for them in their own organization as well. And that's where the inclusion starts. I think CSR is a very good point to start with, to connect with the community, understand their requirements, and then it should not stop here. The second point is also to create opportunities, and that's where the equal opportunity or the inclusion component comes in, where people will become the part of the mainstream. And that ways people are getting aware, and they're also getting an opportunity to move forward. And that's how CSR is a very important tool, not only from the point that the funding is there for the projects, but is also from the point of creating a connection, a very important connection between the two entities altogether.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amit, and thank you, Sridhar. So you talked about, the inclusion program, right? So I just want to understand, like, what is your individual or organization journey for the LGBT plus inclusion? Sashidhar, can you just share your experience or organization experience, like how it is.
Surely, Moneesha. See, the very important stage in an organizational journey, inclusion and diversity is a word which is extremely hot in today's times. But at Pernod Ricard India, we've always looked at this very, very strongly. From an HR aspect, there is tremendous focus on inclusion. But I will come to this part later. But if you look at CSR and the work we do, women empowerment has always been at the core of most of our programs. I mean, whether it is with the farming community, whether it is with all the communities near our plants, whether it is in healthcare. So we've always looked at working with women and then further getting into empowering them. So we also have an incubator which is called It's a women empowerment incubator with the IIM Calcutta and the IIIT Hyderabad. But this also is a pitfall because, there have been a lot of people and forums for women to come forward. And if you look at SDG 5, it talks about woman and girl, but there's nothing on LGBTQI.
That's true.
So that's where the whole gap is. And in the absence of a very strong policy which can actually give a fillip to opportunities, which even Amit was talking about, for us at Pernod Ricard India, it was very, very important for us to take employee inclusion to the next stage. Our programs with CDF or any other program we have, we've worked with Aravani Art Project, and this was a group of transgenders who could create some stunning paintings and wherever you want them.
Wow.
But as most of the people saw that it was not a project for money. I mean, we didn't look at it that way. So we chose community center and not our offices to be painted. We chose community centers in villages. And when I recount what happened there, that's a very good example of inclusion. So when these guys went to actually paint those community centers, our dispensaries, or school buildings, then they didn't even get hotels or places to stay. So that's the first barrier in terms of not understanding this community and not allowing them to even get an opportunity to interact. But somehow they managed that. And when they started doing work, these were a group of people from South India. So they didn't know how to write yahan dawa milta hai. Or
the English, this thing, the English, the alphabets and all, yeah.
Yeah, so they exactly Hindi they didn't know. So they used to ask the local guys who were all teasing them till this point of time and making comments on them. So they used to ask them to help. And that started an inclusive dialogue between them, an interaction between them. And trust me, in this 8-10 days when they were there, it started with not letting them come in to passing, very derogatory comments. In the end, we had selfies with the entire group community together. So that's the journey which was happening, that you give them an opportunity. And as the world starts understanding them, you start understanding their point of view, you start seeing them as who they are. And then there is a change which starts creating. And that is where we are saying the opportunity or an interaction needs to start. Even Amit spoke about that. If this starts, then there is an equal aspect on both sides to understand the views, and this goes forward. So we are saying there is a huge gap in creating awareness and acceptance. Pernod, we've always looked at trying to bridge this gap. And one of the core aspects here is employees. And we start talking more about them. We call that entire team to office. I think, when COVID sets right, we'd have a lot of people wanting to start getting into the CDF project and try and understanding, the work they do. So that is the most important thing from a Pernod Ricard India standpoint when it comes to inclusion of the LGBTQI community.
Yeah, I would say that, a couple of steps which you talked about, the program, which is, talking mostly on the inclusion part, that is really, really good. And thank you so much, Sashidhar, for throwing that, sharing that information. So Amit, do you have any points to add on into this?
Sure, Moneesha. So Moneesha, our journey started somewhere around 2017-18. And as I said, we work with different institutions. And there was this college called 𝘊𝘮𝘏𝗃 College in Delhi University, which when they did their survey in the initial part, they figured out there are a lot of transgenders living in a particular community. And they said that we would like to work with them and understand what are the challenges they are facing. And it was very new for us. And we said, let's give it a try. Let's see how it works. Even getting the basic challenge information from them was very difficult. Okay, because I think people, like the community, was not very comfortable talking to us, and even the students were not very comfortable on this. So it took us almost 6 months or more than that to establish a basic communication with the community. And once that trust developed, there was no stopping. And I think during that survey itself, not in the community, the team did interact with almost 300 plus people from the community, from the transgender community, trying to understand the challenges. And it was a very transformative journey for us also, and especially me, if I talk personally. I have not been, like, I know about the issue, I knew about a lot of things I've been reading, but when you talk to people, when you understand their journeys, their struggles every day, fighting for identity, fighting for basic things which we think are very common to us, which we don't even believe that this will happen. Like as simple as not like getting benefits of most of the schemes of the government, which are there for everyone, but not for the community. Not getting admission into the colleges easily, even though they want to do it. Not many livelihood options available for them.
Correct.
Right. So there have been a lot of issues, and then in the end, they have to get into something very limited options that they have, maybe sex trade or begging, which is something have become normal for them because they have been brought up like that because of the biradari system or the 𝘓𝘰𝘮𝑗𝑗 system that has been developed. It is very difficult to come out of it, and even though a couple of people who tried coming out of it, was very difficult for them at the end of the day as well. So we thought, let's take up this challenge, and if we are able to help even one person, I think that will be important. And that's how we started the journey. And during that part, we focused on two aspects. One is to create a program, how to give certain skills to them so that they become empowered and they can get some other options of employability or livelihood. And second is to establish a platform where a dialogue can happen.
Okay.
And that's how we started this first program, which is called Transformation Talks, where we used to invite people from the community, and they used to talk with different clubs and societies of the colleges. And I think in the initial part, we also started before COVID, obviously, we conducted a couple of fashion shows where trans queens came in, and they created the entire show, and people were not even aware they are people from the community. But after the show, when they started telling their stories, and that's where the empathy came, and a lot of people came up. And we were not even expecting so many people will come up and be part of this program, where a lot of volunteers came up and said that we would like to support and contribute to this cause, and say that how can we create these safe places within the college as well, safe places within the community as well, where this kind of dialogue can happen. And now this program is going beyond only transgenders. It's also within the college, if I'll say it's overall LGBTQ space that has been created in different places now, especially in Delhi colleges. Now we're trying to expand the program in other colleges as well, where this kind of conversation, dialogues can happen virtually to begin with, and then with the help of the college, if they agree, we can create these spaces within the college as well. On the other part, we initially supported a couple of transgender persons in trainings, and we were able to successfully place one of them in a company in Bangalore. I'll not be disclosing the name of the company or the person right now, but it took us almost good 3 months to do that. It was a good journey for us, and then we thought that if we can do this, let's take it up. Let's take it up to the next level. And that's where we got the support from Pernod, where Sashidhar and Purvash and other team members, they were really, I'm really happy to say that, because we shared this proposal with many corporates. And I think when we started discussing with them, it is very difficult to convince them that this program is not as your general program that you do for skill building. Because when the corporates took it like the way you are doing skill building for any other community, be it underprivileged or disabled, you have to take it like this. You have to show us that people are placed at the end of the program. I said that is not possible, because the way they are right now and where we want to take it, it's a long journey. Even if you are providing them some placement, it is not under their control that they will pick up or not. Because a lot depends on the biradari, a lot depends on the Guru Chela system, that will they be allowed to take up that job. But getting an offer of a job will give them a confidence that they can achieve it. And that's where we want to take them, that will they get an opportunity. Right now, we can just promise that we can train them to an extent that they become self-empowered and say that this is something that is offered to us. Now, if we can take it up or can we take it up is a very different question or scenario. That depends on a lot of other factors which are either in your control or not your control. But at least taking to that stage, that's the first step we want to achieve. And we started this program which is called Transformation. And we named it Transformation because it's an inner transformation for them and for us also, for both the worlds. So it's all about how can you change the thought process within them, that what are the different options, what are the choices that you have to live your life the way you want to live the life as the potential that you have, can you achieve that or not? And that's how we have created this program, which is more like, after a lot of permutation combinations, now this is more like a kind of fellowship. Transformation is more like a fellowship for the people who, especially from the transgender person community, who would like to transform their life. And it's a very user-centric model, although we have specific training modules, but they're very flexible. So we started by giving them very basic trainings on basic communications and English speaking. And then followed by basic computing like emails, Excel, not too much in terms of too detailing, but how can you practically use it in your daily life? How can you use it for a certain thing? And that's how we have started. And we have already started a couple of batches where more than 50 people are getting training in 2 of the micro centers, right? Nice. Micro satellite centers right now. And I would like to share an image if
sure.
Okay. So I think you can see the screen.
Yes.
So this is a training that's happening in eastern part of Delhi right now. Okay. Where a batch of 25 students are going through, and these have been selected through various towns, and each of them have a dream. Each of them would like to achieve something. You could see that there are a couple of people who are absolutely stunning dancers. We have seen their performance, and it's no less than anything. And we would like to take them to the next level, that advanced training, that can they get a platform to perform where they get recognized. So we are trying to see if we can create their YouTube channels for the same. There are a couple of people who are wonderful beauticians. Yeah. And they are looking at certain skills. If they can get that, can they start their own businesses? Okay. There is also a radio jockey in it. You will not imagine, but there is a person who is a radio jockey. There is a person who does multiple skills. There are wonderful people out there. And if we just ignore the gender and the people and just look at the people, they are awesome. I'll tell you. So so you have to see it from a very different angle. If you just remove that filter of gender or anything, and if you just like people as people and look at their skills, look at the things that they have, the world is very different. The world is very beautiful. And that's how I think we should look at the world. And that's why we are taking it up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amit. Thank you so much. So, Shashidhar, will you share some of your experience on this transformation project, which which is happening with the Connecting Dream Foundation? Will you share some of your experience? Like, did you got a chance, or say some of your employees would have interacted, or anything like on this transformation program?
Sure, Moneesha. I think Amit was talking about these talented people, very important for most of us to understand, which Amit would understand, but the outside world would not, is that however talented these people are, they would never come out and showcase their talent because of the backgrounds they come in, because of how life has treated them, or culturally there is a doctrination which is there, which prevents them from coming out from their shell and seeking, something better in the world. They've always seen that the world is not the best place for them, and they're okay, or rather they've reconciled to the fact that they are supposed to live where they are. So the behavior change aspect is completely to get them out of it. And as Amit rightly said, it's not just about the placements. The first win is to get these people out, help them recognize their own talent or potential. And if there is a way of earning livelihood out of that, which is, living their passions and dreams, use the word that each one has a dream, so that's the win in this entire program. And that is exactly what we are supporting. If you look at, Amit and team did a baseline, there is a very high percentage of people who are alcoholics. That itself is something which, is a behavior change to get them out of substance abuse or an addiction. So multiple number of challenges. I've just stated few, Amit has stated few. So it's not as easy as it looks outside, but I think the team is doing a fantastic job with this community, and we're very proud to partner with them. I think over time, as things settle down, I won't say in a post-COVID world, but soon we will start, giving more opportunity for dialogue. Okay, because we want dialogue to happen with the beneficiary and people who need to be aware of what this beneficiary said is going through. So that's about the program for us.
Thank you so much, Sashidhar. And I hope from the audience that people will contribute towards these kind of a program, which is the transformation. Right now, Amit, just one batch is just graduated. I would use the word the graduated, and there are multiple batches are also coming up. So we'll hope that the more people from the audience, from the different organization, be a part of our journey altogether. So going back to, on this, do you, Shashidhar, do you have any recommendation for organization that may be thinking of using these CSR funds for inclusion? Like some recommendation, like a quick tips, like 2-3 tips kind of a thing. Do you suggest something?
So see, very important for organizations is to have a very strong strategy of spending. Mm-hmm. Okay. At Pernod, I think most of us are very, very clear on which cohorts, what is our purpose of the entire CSR spending, and what change do we wish to create with all the cohorts who are a part and parcel of a purpose and strategy. And if we look at all these cohorts which need immediate attention, programs then do not come into isolation. They come as a part of a larger objective of change or a larger ecosystem change you wish to create. LGBTQI community, diversity and inclusion, as the buzzwords today. Okay, but if you have a strong strategy which emanated 2, 3, 5 years ago, and that this is where you need to get in, it starts putting in your focus in the right direction. We wanted to partner with programs like the one we have with CDF or the one we did with Aravani. But, there are not too many outside which, there are many organizations doing good work in this space. But then if you want a texture in terms of a larger value which needs to be created, I think people will need to start owning this in that manner. So even for us, it is not easy to zero down programs and put it together. So the only point I'll have for all organizations, with a strong strategy with various communities, is to look at the first step towards taking action, which is even awareness and then the opportunity for dialogue and inclusion. This becomes the core. If the first action happens, then the rest start falling into place. You might not have a right program, but you'll eventually correct it in a manner that it creates a long-term sustainable value for this community as well. And obviously, at the back of it, it is great work for the organization as well.
Well said. Like, the strategy has to be in place. The people should own up the programs and all. That's really, great recommendation, Sashidhar. Amit, would you like to add some more recommendation? Like, you are the person who is on ground, right? Who is actually doing this work. So need to understand from your side, like, what recommendation do you give to the organizations?
So I totally agree with Shashi in this, that should not be only like a program. It should not look like a CSR program. CSR is one of the ways in which you are trying to connect with the community. But I think the organization should start looking at different opportunities where you can start this dialogue with the community. CSR can be one of the ways in starting a dialogue, but there can be other ways as well where the dialogue has to be established. And once the dialogue starts, only then you will be able to understand the real challenges. Otherwise, it is absolutely theoretical to read those things and put it on paper and create programs or policies around it. But the real problems are very different. As I said, every story is very different in the community. Every person is very different in the community. Everyone has a very different challenge. And looking from that point of view is also very difficult. Like looking at the challenge in a different way, but living in their shoes even for a day is, I'll say, is the most difficult task right now, if you could see. So empathizing with the people is the most important part. If organizations can start with that and then create awareness within the organization to begin with, and see that are they ready for inclusion. It's very fancy term to use it nowadays, and most of the people are now using all those things. But just by doing it doesn't mean you are inclusive.
Yeah.
I think it's a very it's a difficult thing to achieve in an organization today. That are we ready for inclusion?
That's true. That's true.
In India right now, I think people are moving towards it. Some of the companies have started up. I think Pernod has also started looking up at communities, and we've got a couple of opportunities which they want specifically for the transgender community. But I think it's more to create a comfort zone or a safe zone within the corporates as well for people to come up. Right now, that's the biggest hurdle for the movement from one part to the other part. That's what I believe. I think if we can work towards it, I think the world would be very, very different, and people would start looking beyond genders and start working together to create this beautiful world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And this is the whole agenda of Pride Circle altogether, that people should not look at the gender thing. They should look at the talent, the actual talent of a person. Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you so much, Sridhar. Now we are open for questions. So audience, any questions, please drop into the chat box and our speakers will be happy to address it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a lot, and see you at Rise 2022. Till then, take care and be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Moneesha. Thank you, Amit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sashidhar. Thanks, Moneesha.